everyone. How is everyone today? I want to welcome you all to Pink Lady Presents. I am overwhelmed with color today. You're going to see such beautiful colors in beads, and our guest, Diana Freeberg, is a multiple award-winning America Cinema editor and producer. Welcome.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here with
And
you.
I'm looking, and our audience is looking at what you're wearing, her earrings and this beautiful necklace. Can you tell us about that? First about the earrings. I love them.
Well, the earrings I just picked up in a market in Morocco. I'm always...
Oh, just like that, you know.
Just like that.
Well, you have to have an eye a little bit, I
Yes,
guess,
you
to
do.
these sort of things. So after years of traveling around the world and finding beads that, catch my attention or have historical importance or some kind of beauty about them, I found these in Morocco. And then I knew I had bought this necklace earlier on the same trip. And this was a finished piece. And I found the earrings. I said, oh, that will match the necklace.
That's right.
And they did. So
And I
wear
like
it
these,
together.
the big beads. Is that a bead also on the necklace?
Yes, these are beads that are all made in Morocco, and they're Berber styled. And
When you say Berber style.
Berber is a tribal group that live there, and they're all amulets, and they wear them for amuletic purposes, for spiritual and usually for protection.
Well, and
anyways,
now the
amulets.
word amulet, is that like a medicine type thing to help them?
It
or
could
what?
be. An amulet is anything that will give you protection, bring you good fortune. It could keep away the evil spirits, the evil eye. And so they wear a lot of decorative things that are part of their adornment, but it also has a very deep meaning. And a lot of cultures around the world have the same thing. They wear protective amulets or beads. They come in many forms. That protect them and bring them good fortune, good health, good luck, and probably lots of money if they can make it.
Or if they want a baby or something
Exactly.
like that, you bring me a baby with a certain bead.
It has to be a boy.
A boy.
Yeah. You're talking Morocco here.
I'm sorry, no, you're right. Well, Diane, everything has to begin at a certain place.
Right.
I mean, that's just the way the world is. We begin and end certain things. Your beginning is South Africa, am I correct?
Correct.
So tell me something about you and being a native of South Africa. And I know, before we even get to it, that you were the first woman to direct a film in South Africa, which was really something big. Tell me about your youth in South Africa.
And also where, because
Yeah.
people identify Johannesburg and Cape Town.
Right.
And that's
Give
it.
us a little
Well-
cultural trip here.
Well, my husband always says I don't come from South Africa, I come from Cape Town. So
there
I
you
was
go.
born and
Okay.
grew up in Cape Town, and that was very much a British influence of the British colonies.
Okay.
So we were brought up very much in British traditions. There were not many of the African tribal people around us at all. Firstly, because of the apartheid system, they didn't allow them down into that area. They had to have special permits and passes to come to Cape Town. So
really?
they were
Okay.
not really part of it. We had our own local indigenous colored people who were mulattoes who were intermarried with locals. So they were a group that were around with us. But mostly the African tribal people were not in Cape Town. So that's why my husband always distinguishes and says, well, you come from Cape Town, I come from South Africa and Africa.
Okay.
So I have to live with that all my life. But I say, no, I am ex-South African.
And how did you get into the editing and producing and film business?
Well, that's a long story. I was always into drama. Growing up, I was into theatre and acting.
Okay.
And I had my teaching diploma at 16 to teach, and I did drama at the university.
Oh, wow.
So this was
Okay.
going to be my career, I thought, until I stepped into the one and only film studio in Cape Town during one of my university vacations and said, oh, give me a job. I'll do anything just for fun. You know, there was not much doing in Cape Town.
Okay.
And
you
so,
had never done this
No,
before?
I never knew anything about films, and I wasn't really a film person. I was really a theatre person.
Okay.
And they said, okay, you can answer the telephones. The lady's going off for Christmas for 2 weeks. I said, great.
Good.
And I stayed, and then 2 weeks were up, and the man, Ashley Lazarus, who was a very famous commercial filmmaker of international repute, had this wonderful little studio in Cape Town. And he said, stay, watch us make movies, and you can hang out. I still had 2 months of vacation.
Okay.
So I did, and during that time, I hung out, and I wandered into the editing room. And they had brought an editor out from England, and she was originally Australian. And I started to hang with her every day and started to help her hang the trims. In those days, we were working with film.
Okay.
And she
When you
said,
say hang, there
well,
was
we
like,
were stripped. So
like
every time
rope.
you cut a piece of film,
Right,
when you're
right.
editing, you take it up and you hang it on a bin, on a pin, and then you take this piece and you join it to that piece. Those were the days when we actually worked with film.
Right.
Today, of course, it's a whole different ballgame. So she said, well, when you graduate at the end of the year, you want to come back and be my assistant.
Oh.
And I said, that sounds great. I'd love to. Why not? I'm loving this, and it combines everything I was interested, which was graphics and art and movies and acting and performance and.
Well, let me
all of
ask you,
that.
what does it take when you say you loved it and everything, and she was your mentor? What does it take to like something like that? I mean, do you have to be focused? Do you have to be anal when it comes to certain things? I mean, what does
Yes,
it take to be an
It does. It
editor?
takes a lot of, well, this particular job, being a film editor, which I'm still doing at the moment at home. I haven't told you about that project.
Oh, okay.
I'm working 13 hours a day at the moment.
Oh, wow.
Trying to get this film out. It takes a lot of dedication,
Yes,
a lot of
yes.
patience, a lot of focusing, a lot of really what I call zoning in. And then you just close yourself off to the world. I've always said I spent 50 years in a dark room. And then suddenly one day I said, I'm coming out to smell the roses. And that's when I started traveling around the world. Anyway, so to get back to the story, so
Right.
that's what it takes, a lot of dedication. And you have to have a talent, I guess, to be
Yes.
able to do that as well. Not anybody and everybody is cut out to do it.
And then from there, you came to the United States.
No, I had a long circuitous road to coming here because
Okay.
when I'd been with this company for a year, I said this was great, but they were doing just commercials, and I wanted to do dramatic work, hence my drama background. And I said, well, now I'm in the film business, I really want to know how you make feature films. So they very kindly got me an apprenticeship at Pinewood Studios in England. So I went to London as a supernumerary. They gave me the company apartment. And I went there for a few months, and I used to go to Pinewood every day and sit in the cutting room because it was non-union.
Okay.
So I did that, got that experience, and then went back to South Africa and entered the feature film industry there. And that's where I worked and then built myself up to directing a film. And that's where I met my husband on the film that I
Right.
directed.
That's
I don't know if he
Lionel
told you the story.
Freeberg, who everyone has seen. I think it was on a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
Charming gentleman.
Yeah, so we met there. So we both have a passion for filmmaking. And then after that, I came here to do a master's at USC in filmmaking. And then went back to South Africa because Lionel, it's a long story, I told you. But
okay.
I
We
wanted
have
to
time.
stay.
That-
And he wanted to, we both had dreams to come and work and live in
Right.
America because we both were passionate film people at this point. He'd been all his life. And so eventually we got married and had our kids and all the time planning to come back and work here.
And
so we
you did.
finally made it happen. So always said, if you have a dream, you can make your dreams come
That's
true.
right.
And
Well,
so I believed in that.
when did you see that you wanted to do something else? I mean, because I want to get into, like your book, World on a String, it just didn't happen. You had to have that passion for beads, and it's a long journey that you
Yeah.
just did with that.
Yes, that was after I kind of got into the world of beads by accident, and
How'd
then I
that
suddenly. It's also a funny story, but I had a strand of amber beads that my grandmother's brother brought me from Moscow in the 60s.
Oh,
And I always had this wonderful strand of amber that I loved. And in South Africa, we didn't wear a lot of jewelry. It was gold or silver, mostly gold and pearls.
Oh.
That's all the ladies wore in South Africa.
Now,
It
why was that?
Because it was elegant and it was
Okay.
English and it was plain and it was
Okay.
tasteful.
And it was English.
And it was English and
Right.
it was respectful, and that's just what the ladies did.
Okay.
Right.
You had
Okay.
lots of gold and you had lots of diamonds and you had lots of pearls, and that's what you wore. That's what I
Right.
grew up with. It was
Okay.
the English tradition, being refined and quiet,
Right.
and that kind of thing. So
And humble and
then,
shy.
then something happened in my life. I'm not sure what, but I changed. Anyway, and then when I came here, I went to the local mall and saw somebody was making necklaces and earrings out of amber and other materials. And I said, oh, this is amazing. How do you make all of this? Where do I buy amber? And they said,
Oh.
we have a shop. So I went to the store. And I was working in Burbank at the time, and they were there. And I went, and there was like a kid in a candy store.
Oh, my.
And I started buying all these beads and sat on the bed making necklaces every
Really?
night. And that's how it grew. And then I started going to the Bead Society and learning that there was a whole history behind beads, and that was the story of mankind was the story of beads. And it became a passion that I started. The more I investigated, the more I
Right.
learned, the more
We
I
have
knew.
to back up just one second.
Yes.
You went by the Bead Society. I didn't realize there
Yeah.
was a society.
Yeah, there was.
Tell us about that.
Well, the LA Bead Society was the first bead society that started, I think, in the 70s, and with a group of people who loved beads. And it was the revival of the hippie era, when
Oh,
suddenly all
okay.
the African trade beads were coming back on the market.
Right.
And everybody started looking at all these beads which hippies were wearing and saying, well, what are these beads? Where were they made? And, you know, they were like trade beads in Africa and everywhere else in the world. They traded
Right.
the world. And then you started learning that these beads that were made in Europe at that time, hundreds of years ago, from the 13th, 14th century, were traded and put on ballasted ships around the world. So wherever the explorers went, they would take beads, and instead of money, it became a form of currency.
A barter,
And they
right.
would barter with everybody in all the tribal areas all over the world. So anyway, it went on, and I started learning all this stuff, and I'd been doing a lot of film editing on the History Channel stuff, and I started learning how to, you know, put together historical films and make them interesting. And I said, I have this idea, I want to do a film about beads. Nobody's ever done it. And the guys that I was working with said, well, we'll take it to A&E, but they're not going to buy it. But anyway, I wrote a thing and they put it out, and of course they weren't interested.
Right, right.
So one day I woke up and I said to my husband, you know what, I'm going to make the film. He said, well, what's it going to be about? I said, well, I know, it's all in my head. And I went out and bought a camera
For beads.
for beads to shoot, a video camera.
While you're talking now, during this whole program, what we're doing is showing some of the things from World on a String.
Okay, good.
And it's on there, and I just want to take this up over here because one of the pictures is a chair with this beautiful young lady on it, loaded with beads. And these are huge, and I know we're taking a close-up of it. And there's one, what's a SED bead? Because one of the pictures is SED, a SED bead.
DZI,
Yes.
a Z bead.
Oh, Z, what is that?
A Z bead is one of the most valuable beads on the planet.
See, I knew I'm
You picked
good.
it up, yeah. And it is treasured by the Tibetan people.
Oh.
And they believe that it was planted in the ground by some gods. And if you find one, it's worth a fortune. So if you get an original one, it's worth, hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Really?
But today, they've discovered they really are just agate beads that have been etched in. And so there are lots and lots of fake beads out there today. So everybody around the world is going around making fake beads that look like the original Z beads. So it's very hard now to even distinguish which is a real one and which is a fake one. But they are very treasured by Tibetans and a lot of the Buddhist people.
But if we offer
in the
them
Himalayas.
if we offer them to the audience as faux beads, then
Yeah.
then that's worth 20% more than a fake bead. We
Yeah.
could make that work. Yeah. Okay.
Well, I would like to ask you the other question. You said that it transforms human thinking and it influences social behavior. I'm not quite sure I understand that.
Well, I think it was the first time it was a little object. And that people took this little object and they put it on them in the very primitive times. And they believed that it empowered, if they took a bone from an animal, they believed that that animal's spirit would be transformed into their spirit. And they would be empowered by the spirit of this animal if they wore it. So it made them more powerful and
Right.
gave them more energy
Right.
and more ability to go out and hunt animals and do things. That they would have the spirit of whatever animal, if it was a lion or whatever it was, and they would wear it. And tribal chiefs all around the world today, especially in Africa,
Right.
still wear them, I mean, it's going out of fashion because obviously there are no animals anymore, and the whole protective thing it's a different story.
Correct.
But basically, that's what it was all about. And it was abstract thinking, and people for the first time would take something, put a piece of string and put it around their necks and say, okay, now I'm empowered, or it's doing something for me,
Right.
or it's decorative as well. It's part of their adornment, but it all had meaning.
You met in your travels, you went to over 40 countries.
Yes, well, now I've been to over 100. But
Yeah,
won't
I mean,
go there.
literally.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot.
Yes.
And you met, I don't know whether our audience knows what the word means, but naturally they know priests. You met creative people, but you met shamans. And that word to me always was very exotic and very fascinating. What is a shaman? And you had to go to tribes, so that was a little dangerous at times. I mean, I would imagine. Tell us about those experiences.
Well, there are several. There was one particular shaman. I went all the way down to Mexico, who belonged to a tribe called the Huichol tribe.
The Huichol?
Huichol, Huichol, and they are based outside Acapulco in the mountains.
Oh.
And so I went down specially to meet him, and they do this wonderful bead art where they've taken all the glass beads. The glass beads, all the tiny little seed beads, were brought into all these countries by the traders. Oh. And people used to use stones and beads and seeds and things and make their jewelry and their amulets and their decorative adornment out of all the natural organic materials. Okay. And when they brought in these tiny little glass beads, they were fascinated by the colors and the vibrancy, and it was a material they couldn't make.
Right.
Because, it takes a lot of technology to be able to create a tiny little glass bead like that. And they were fascinated because it was something beyond anything they'd experienced in their environment anywhere. It was not a natural element. So this started slowly supplanting all the natural elements, and that's why the Native Americans and Indians and everybody started using all these very colorful, beautiful little elements and making this amazing beadwork.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Yes.
We're going to watch right now, and I think, I mean, when I saw it, first of all, it was an hour and something long, so we're going to take a few moments of it, but about the bead history, the way you did it. And I'd like to go to it right now. So we're ready to watch what a bead begins. And it's right up there.
It is a tiny object that has an impact on human history out of all proportion to its size. It is an epic saga filled with mystery and surprise. This is the story of the bead, a masterpiece of creation that unites the entire world on a string. What is it about these tiny objects that fascinate people from every walk of life? What is their lure, their magnetic hold on us? Why do they drive us to collect, trade, and treasure them with a fervor and a dedication seldom devoted to other things? What lies behind the international renaissance in our devotion to the bead? Why do people all over the world jealously prize these tiny items? Fashioned from nature's bountiful harvest, beads captivate and enthrall us. Yet their origins lie in simple organic materials like shell, bone, bark, and berry. Some have an understandable allure, emanating from the riches of the earth's treasure trove, including stone, silver, and gold. But why are they valued so highly? The smallest and roundest beads, the so-called seed bead, dazzles the eye in a myriad colors. But why are they so prized by artists and woven into the fabric of society from jungle to city, enriching human culture in unimaginable ways? What is it that has allowed beads to leave a mark that has transcended the centuries? Why, even now, do they still feature prominently in ceremonies and rituals throughout the farthest corners of the planet? Why are so many beads perceived to have magical powers and worn as amulets for protection? What has driven the creative mind to lend such an inventive touch to the legacy of the bead, in which people fashion superb works of art from them, expressed in fields as diverse as fashion, jewelry, weaving, and a host of decorative crafts? Why are beads the perfect complement to human beauty? often proclaiming the owner's wealth and even announcing the wearer's place in society. Why are beads frequently imbued with a mystical role, one in which shamans believe them to have supernatural powers? Why do so many regard them as a potent shield against evil, misfortune, and harm? Why do so many cultures perceive beads to be a direct bond with the divine? Why do people use them to identify the deity they worship, even pressing them into service as a talisman of protection and a link to the afterlife? Beads were the catalyst behind some of our most enterprising and enduring technologies. Beads, not steam, lay behind our earliest industrial revolution. Beads, not coins, were responsible for the birth of international trade and commerce. Beads, not swords, conquered new territories. It is the bead that unites us in our differences and celebrates us in our diversity. It's a fabulous story, and it began a long, long time ago.
I could go on, and I want to tell everybody.
Okay.
I saw the whole thing, and it is fabulous. I was like, literally, I couldn't leave. I put on, my computer there, and I couldn't leave.
You were mesmerized.
Mesmerized, that's
yes,
the
you
word.
were.
Could you tell us, first of all, where we can buy the book, World on a String, and then where one can get the video? Because when I tell you, we just had the icing. You don't even know what's inside that the documentary. It is really, really great. Where can we get that, Diana?
Well, the documentary is actually a 5-part series, and each one is 90 minutes long.
Good.
And one of them is 2 hours long because they had so much material. So there's a series of 5 documentaries, DVDs, and I sell them all like for $50 for the whole set.
And how can they get
And they
it?
can get that on my website, which is www.worldonastringproject.com.
Can you repeat that again?
It's worldonastringproject.com. And there's also, the book is available on Amazon.
And we're going to put this on the website, so
Great.
anyone who didn't write it down will
We'll
be
have
able
time.
to
Will be
find
able
it.
to do
Yes.
Now
Wonderful.
you've done, I cannot tell you, everyone, how many projects this darling, adorable lady has done. You've done Disney educational. You've done Junkyard Wars. What is that?
That was one of the early reality shows that was created in England, actually. And they brought it to Hollywood in the 90s. And I worked on that show where they actually went to a junkyard and had all these guys take a lot of junk. And there was a competition who could build the car that would go fastest. So they had a half an hour or an hour program with all these different teams building junk things that would move.
I love it.
And they would have a race. It was a lot of fun. It was a very popular show.
But some of the names here,
I
you
know.
did Man Broke 1,000 Chains.
Oh, that was
What
a
was that?
wonderful film. That was a remake of the Paul Mooney 1933 classic, I'm a Fugitive from a Chain Gang.
Oh, yes.
So this was a remake done by Danny Mann, who was a very famous director in Hollywood. And this was a wonderful film. It did great. It won awards and was a very good film made for HBO.
Oh, my God. And then, wait a minute, a cute name that just got me. Mrs. Dumblebee Serious. It sounds like, it sounds like a little old lady, a detective or something. What
That
that?
was an old, that was an animation series made by us in
Oh.
Cape Town. There were 2 ladies, and I still Facebook with them, and they created this little character, Mrs. Dumblebee, and they
Sounds
animated it for
cute.
South African television. It was a children's series. It was delightful.
Oh, and what was she, like a teacher?
Yes, I think so, yes.
Oh, my goodness. Now, Make the Cut and then Jump Cut. What was that?
Those were 2 books that I co-authored with Laurie Jane Coleman, and she and I had run the American Cinema Editors intern program for like 18 years, where we took 2 interns We selected them from students from around the country.
Oh, wow.
And we picked the two best that we thought would, who really were dedicated and passionate about making a future career in film editing. And through the American Cinema Editors, we obviously had access to all the top editing rooms in the city, and then we would put them in this program for 4 weeks. And then they're all working, and today they're all winning awards. They're like our children. We
Isn't
have
that
60, 70
fabulous?
of them, and they're all like our big family. And we started this whole brotherhood of the young new generation working together instead of always competing with each other. And they're all great friends, and we Facebook. And it's actually been a very rewarding program. And then the two books, sorry, I'll just finish that quickly because you asked about the books. And the two books evolved out of that program because we do also lecture series for those who didn't make the program and were finalists. And anybody else who wanted to come, we'd give them a weekend of lecturing about how to get into the industry and how to behave and the ethics and what it all entails. And
Well,
then we wrote
you
two books out of
won
that.
the America Cinema Editing Award 2017.
Right.
Now, that was for
all our contribution to helping promote the art and craft of film editing in Hollywood, which was amazing. So, as I said, you can make dreams come true.
I have to ask the question. So what do you do in your spare time?
I don't have any. I do books. I do travel a lot. I do 3 or 4 major trips a year, and I do photography books when I come back on each trip.
Well, now, let me
And now
ask
I'm
you,
doing
is
big film-
Reflections?
Yes.
Where did this come in?
Well,
Because this is fascinating also.
That's available on Amazon as well. So that's a beautiful book. It's an spiritual inspirational book for people if you want to give a little gift to somebody who might be feeling a little down in the dumps. And it's got wonderful sayings and beautiful photographs.
I saw the
Did you like it?
Oh, I love the Alaskan. Is it the Alaskan bear?
Yes.
Oh,
I went up to Churchill in Canada to shoot those, to film those. Shot them.
so
That
how
was
do
photographs.
you choose where you're going? I mean, really. I mean, you've been to so many places that are exotic
She
places.
probably says to herself, "Where haven't
I
I
been?"
been?"
Oh, that's
And go there.
I've just come back from the Antarctica.
There.
So I just
Really?
made the 7th continent, yes.
We had a lovely lady, Dr. Erica Miller, who had
yes.
just come back from climbing Mount Everest.
At 86.
Amazing.
Yes.
Young.
And she sat in that chair
And she
and
told
she
you-
said, "Don't tell me I can't do it. Of course I can do it."
Right. You could do anything, I
And
say, once you
anything.
do it.
And what is well, first of all, what project did you do with Lionel, your husband?
Well, we have a company together, so over the years,
You work with Leonard Nimoy,
I
right?
did a movie
Yes.
for him. He wanted one on the artist Liza Liu, so I put that together for him, and that one heard the MacArthur Foundation Award, $250,000 for her work.
Wow.
And I think the film helped when they put that in. But anyway, that's another story. But my husband and I, we work a lot together, and in fact, he's helping me a little bit on my current project, which is a huge documentary that I've nurtured for 43 years.
Oh, that's
And
all.
I'm finally making this dream a
Okay.
reality.
And what is this?
And that's a story about the history of film music in Hollywood. And a composer called Max Steiner.
Yes.
You know his work,
Yes.
Gone with the Wind, Casablanca.
yes.
So I'm telling his life story.
Wow.
He was born in Vienna and comes from a very distinguished family there who were entrepreneurs in the entertainment world. And he started basically film scoring when talkie started in Hollywood.
How do you begin a project like that? I mean, really, you go to the family. Do you start with the archives?
Well, it started back in 1975 when I was at USC doing my master's.
Oh.
I had met his wife. Max had passed on, and I'd met his wife, and we became very friendly. And she was the sweetest, wonderful, most lovely lady. And she just sort of took to me, and I took to her, and we became friends. And then during one of my school projects, I said, well, let's make a film about Max. She said, sure. So she had given me access to all the material that was in the house to him at that time. And I started doing the whole project, and the last moment USC turned me down. And they said, we don't do documentaries, we only do dramatic films.
Really?
Yeah. So that was the end of that. I put it on the shelf, very disappointed. And it's been sitting on the shelf. I still have all the papers. I have her signed everything. And 2 years ago, I met somebody at a concert, and he happened to be a musicologist, and we started chatting. And I said, oh, I was going to do this film about Max Steiner so many years ago. He said, well, why didn't you do it? I said, everybody who was going to be in it is dead. Elmer
Right.
Bernstein, David Raxon,
Right.
Johnny Green, all these great famous people, Eleanor Slatkin, everyone I'd interviewed at that
Yeah, but
time.
now we want to see them. That would be.
But I had audio, and then we couldn't find the audios in the house.
Oh,
Anyway,
no.
so I said, well, really? He said, yes. So they organized a convention a year ago, at the university down in Long Beach.
Right.
And everybody who was interested in Max Steiner came to the convention. It was small. And I met everybody and I said, okay, let's do it. So,
Wow.
and I raised some money, and it's all being done as a labor of love, not being paid. But at this stage, I'm just doing it because I'm passionate about it and love to do it. So I'm just finishing the editing. I've done a 2-hour show.
Oh my goodness.
I know, and it's amazing. I just hope it.
Now, are any
yeah.
relatives alive? I mean,
No.
no.
No. No. The only one who was alive who's in the movie is Danny Selznick, who's the son of David O. Selznick.
Oh yeah.
He's on in years, but he was wonderful. So he talks about his father in Gone with the Wind, and he knew Max. He lived next door to Max.
Oh.
And as a child, he'd go and sit in the room and listen to him. He'd play the piano for him. So he talks about all of that, which was very moving and very touching.
Sure. One of the things
Yeah.
that we love doing,
Yes.
and I hope you will share with us when you're ready to release this, we can let the audience know, because
Fantastic. I'd be
there are
delighted.
people who would love to have it and would never hear of it
Right.
if we didn't tell
Right.
them.
And you
So
also some of the subjects that you edited and all that, like global warming.
Yes.
I mean, come on. I mean,
Yeah.
from global warming to a Disney to
Yeah.
you're all over. I
I
mean,
know,
which I think is phenomenal.
Well, that's what makes life interesting, is that, and I've been very privileged. I think my life has been very privileged that I've been able to touch the world in so many ways and so many aspects. And working with Lionel has also been amazing, because we have our own company. And in South Africa, we made, I think, over 100 films together there
Oh, wow.
for the television and the station. He'd write and produce and shoot, and I'd bring it all home and I'd cut it. So we had our own little thing going, and we did a lot of things for television when that was first introduced into South Africa in 1976. And then afterwards, when we came here, we were both guns for hire, because it wasn't so easy to
Okay.
produce your own material.
Right.
We had 2 young kids. We had to educate them, and bring them up and work and do all of that. So we each kind of went our own way, doing whatever we could just to do, to do jobs.
Right.
And documentaries started in a big way here in the 90s when cable opened up.
Right.
So suddenly the History Channel and A&E and all these people were making endless documentaries, out of which reality started. So that was a great opportunity. And some studios I worked with were just churning out. I'd cut a film a week. Every 2 weeks
Oh, my
we'd cut
goodness.
a film, an hour show. And it was like, whoa. It was like turnover. But they were filling the
Right.
networks and the airwaves, and that's what happened. So we were lucky we were right in on that bandstand.
In all your travels, we're talking now, and everything seems beautiful and no problem. You must have encountered a problem here or there. I mean, going into a country, or seeing a tribe. I mean, did they all welcome you with open arms, or did you have any problems at all?
Well, I've been very lucky.
Yeah, I mean, really.
I go in. I think one of the exciting stories I tell that I like is, I think in that piece extract that you showed, there was a tribe in Ghana, and a woman that I'd been introduced to took me up there because I said I needed to shoot the gold of this tribe, and we sort
How
of...
many people went up with you?
Just me alone. I'd shoot everything. I went around the world on my own most of the time.
Good for you.
With a camera.
Hear that, ladies? We can do it.
We can do it, I'm telling you. You just have to keep your wits about you, and I think...
So you
have
went up
have
to
eyes.
this.
So we went up to this
Yeah.
group, and I'd said, all right, I've just got very little money for them, and she organized with the chieftain of that little area up there, that tribal area, that I would come and do some filming. When we got there, so well, we've only got an hour, and I said, fine, and the whole village came. There must have been 250 people, and they all came dressed up in their best clothing.
Oh, with beads.
With beads and
Oh,
their traditional
love it.
clothes and the Ghana fabrics and textiles.
Right.
And they brought out all these brass beads, gold beads, and they dressed themselves. And then when I came out, I was filming that. It's me with this tiny little rinky-dink camera. And then they came out, and they're all standing there, and they reenacted a whole ceremony for me. And I'm standing there with this little camera, no sound, no person, no assistant, no
no.
nothing.
Oh,
and I'm
my-
standing there going, how am I going to cover this? How am I going to film all of this with all these people and the girls and the children dancing
my goodness.
with the beads strung around and doing their...
But you
their
did
thing?
it.
I did it. And it was like, and they wouldn't stop. After an hour, more people came, and they went down the streets of the village, and there was a whole parade. They were having the best time ever. And I went, okay, there's me with my little rinky-dink baby. And, we were just I was following them around. Got a wonderful sequence out of it, which is in the movie.
You know
Yeah.
what? I honestly think that
Yeah.
3/4 of your expertise and your success is you. Is really it.
Yeah,
I mean, I think your attitude, like in other words, whatever. I'm just going in there and whatever.
Yeah, you have to, and you have to have a good attitude to people as well.
Sure.
You know, sometimes I go on these group tours, which are organized tours, and I run up to people with photographs with my camera because I still do a lot of photography.
Okay.
And then the people in the groups, don't do that. You can't go photograph those people. You haven't got permission. I said, don't interfere. I know how to handle them. You know, and then I give a smile to people.
Right.
And I said, can I take your photo? And then they smile. They're happy. People are happy
yes.
to be photographed. People in the far out places, who comes to them and says, I want your picture? You know, for them, it's a big treat.
So, besides the one that you're doing now, your project,
Yes.
what's in the future for you? I mean, you're a young woman.
You're right.
Well, yeah.
Do you know how old I am?
Everything
I've been
is
working for over
relative.
50 years.
I mean, but I'm looking at you. You have a joie de vivre, a joy of life. I know you're not going to stop. I mean, what do you want to do?
Well, this film will take me probably till the end of the year by the time I've wrapped it and got it distributed and
Okay.
finalized all that. I've still got another bead book. I've been collecting photographs for another book. I'm not sure it's going to be like that, but it's on amulets.
No,
I've been-
amulets again
Amulets
is-
are these things that we wear that are protective.
Right,
So when
okay,
on all my travels, I've been using, I don't film anymore, I use photographs. So I've now been doing a lot of photography.
Okay.
So I've got some wonderful shots of people around the world wearing all kinds of different things for protection. So I'm going to put another book together. It's all in the computer
In
ready.
Asia, is the use of jade very similar to
Yes.
the beading that you're...
Yes, jade is a very important element, especially for the Chinese. And that the best jades come from Myanmar, Burma. So I've been
yes,
down.
yeah.
I haven't been up to the mountains.
We
where they're from.
actually had the Consul General of Myanmar.
Yes.
We work with a lot of Consul Generals.
Oh, great.
And we just did a show in October with the Consul General of Senegal.
Oh,
And
And they have a pink
lake
lake.
that has pink salt.
oh, they must have
Yes.
loved it.
Oh,
I'd
my
like to
God.
take a picture of you at
Yeah,
the pink
you
Yeah,
know
well,
what? That's exactly what we
She
want
wants
to
her
do.
to come
Come
and
on,
be
there'd
the
be a
and
pink
promote
Yeah,
the pink
I mean,
lake.
you
promote the
better.
pink lake,
I
so-
think that's wonderful.
But I do want to just add one more thing. One of the questions that Pink Lady gets all the time,
why
I
do
don't
we
care
wear
where
pink?
we go,
Yes.
is number one, are you ever going to retire? And she says, no. Simple. But the other thing is, how do you keep doing this? And one of the answers is the people who sit in that chair are among the most successful,
Yeah.
highest self-esteem, have the can-do attitude.
Right.
And if you surround yourself with those people,
right.
there's nothing worse than the person who said, you can't take their picture.
Totally,
Don't.
exactly.
Instead of having
Right.
20 people saying, go get them, go
Exactly.
get that picture.
Exactly. So
someone-
that's why I actually put a lot of negative energy out of my life. If people,
Yeah.
You have to.
You
if
have to.
people put negative energy anywhere near me, it's like, oh, goodbye.
You don't
I won't
have
see you
time
again.
for
I
it.
don't
You
have
don't.
time for
You
that.
don't.
You know,
And I
don't.
decided-
That's about it.
I decided, Diane, a
Yeah.
long time ago, I think when I first got into my 80s, and someone would look at me and they'd say, well, you know, isn't it time that you like stopped? Or I said, for what?
Yeah.
I said, I'm only in my 80s.
Exactly.
Wait,
Now-
wait,
and
wait,
now-
not just in your 80s.
I'm
80
in my 87th
seventh
running.
year.
Running. I call it running.
It's amazing. I admire you. I think you're amazing.
Thank you.
So
And
it's a
I have
pleasure
to-
to be with you and get your energy. And I love it. Anybody who's full of energy,
Well,
I'll just
actually-
absorb it all. I
Actually,
love
if
it.
you can in your
Yeah.
travels, because that's what everybody would like. Something they always meet and they'll say to me, if you could just take that energy and put it in an amulet, that we would be energized and have a great time because we want to be like you. I want to be like you, Diana Friedberg. Audience, you must. I really mean that. I don't usually say that. But her book, World on a String, when I tell you, is absolutely fabulous. And the documentaries, you don't want to get 5 at a time, get 1 at a time, get 2 at a time. But please do that because you will gain such knowledge and you'll have a great time. Chaplain Dove and I.
And
yes.
I know also that we have a lot of people who deal with retirement centers and schools, middle
Yes,
schools,
right.
and elementary schools.
And I think the kids would
To
love
get
to
this
see it.
series
Yes.
and to
I'd be
show
happy
it
to
and
donate it
share
to
it.
them. So
Great.
That
let me
would
know
be
if you have
phenomenal.
any schools who would like it. I'm quite
We-
happy to donate. I've
The
got
other night we were at the
lots of
Grand
things.
Arts to see Hairspray. 900 people packed the place.
And these are
Wow.
1,200 students
and I would
who
guarantee
are all
you
phenomenal.
Yeah.
that every one of those 1,200 children love this.
Type
They
of
would
thing.
they
Well,
would
yeah.
go crazy to watch
I
World
made
on a
it for
Spring.
educational purposes. They're
Yeah.
also non-profit, all donated money.
Well,
My
especially they're into
projects are some-
costume.
Yeah.
And costumes with beads
Oh,
and
it-
things
it's
like that would
amazing.
be a natural.
Yeah.
We will
Yeah.
talk.
That
We
would
will
be
talk.
great. I'd
We
love
will.
to.
I don't want to leave.
No, I'm having a wonderful time.
I really, like Lionel, her husband said the same thing. He said, I'm really having a good
I'm
time
having
here.
a great time talking. It's
I
great.
want to tell everyone that this is what Pink Lady Presents is all about. Is a life well lived.
Yeah.
No matter the age, Diana.
No,
it doesn't matter. It doesn't
I mean,
matter.
can I disclose how
No.
old I am?
You know what? It
doesn't even matter. I don't even count anymore.
You know what?
I've been working for over 50 years,
There
so
you,
there you go.
there you
We,
go.
we had a
Yeah.
young lady on recently who was 11, but they were 11 fabulous
Fabulous,
years,
yeah.
Yeah.
and she's got a lifetime ahead of her to
Oh,
share
yeah.
with our audience.
Yeah.
I thank everyone. We will be right back. We're back with little
to be
Daisy J.
Say hi,
Daisy J,
Daisy.
can you bark and say hello?
Ruff, ruff.
I love it. Well, we not only have Daisy J on with her pink bow, but we have Beverly Pomerantz. I call her the casting queen of TV game shows. So, hello and welcome.
And why do you
Hi,
call her that,
yes.
pray tell?
Because I told her to.
Yes, and I met with Beverly. She cast Dove and I and a friend of ours, Greg.
Greg Lee.
And we are the volunteer veteran group on Common Knowledge, the new show with
Joey Fatone.
yeah,
Right.
And
Joey Fatone.
it was Bev so much fun. Well, first of all, as everyone know in my audience, I am not anywhere near shy and humble. So I walked out with not only a great pink outfit, but a boa.
Right.
Oh
And
my
the
gosh.
And the
audience
two
went
gentlemen
crazy.
wore pink shirts.
Yeah.
That's what I
So
heard.
we were the veteran volunteers
And
on
then
the pink
when they're
team.
talking
Yeah.
about ages and stuff, and I said, well, I'm so happy. I said, because I'm in my 87th year. The audience went crazy.
Yeah.
They were like, you go, girl.
They were really a great audience.
Yeah,
Anyway.
they loved you because I was in the audience in the office last week, and they told me you were the best,
Oh, we had a great time.
We
the
had
best
a great
contestants
time.
they've had on the show. They loved. They said the audience went crazy for you.
They did.
Yeah, and then
They-
I can see why.
You're so sweet. Now, I want to know about Abu Dhabi.
Dhabi.
For 2.5 years, did you meet a rich sultan?
It was
I mean, like, hello.
I actually I worked on a show, and it was I was there for 2.5 months. I lived there, and it was made Hydra executives. It was kind of like The Apprentice.
Oh.
We had 8 Americans versus 8 Brits.
Yeah.
and they did their like a business. It was they had to
Oh.
come up with a business idea.
Okay.
And do you want to hear something really
Yeah.
Sort of
funny?
junior
Okay, this is really
achievement-
funny.
Junior achievement for
Right.
seniors. right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Right.
This is really funny. So the first day that they started filming, they had 2 trailers, one for
Right.
the Americans and one's for the Brits. So I go into the American trailer, and they're coming up with their ideas, and they're all yelling at each other. I don't like your idea. This idea, that's bad. You know, just getting at each other, right?
Right.
I go into the British
Oh.
trailer.
I'm sure.
And one guy is sleeping on the floor, the cameraman.
Oh.
And the producer outside says, get a look inside. So I walk inside, and this was the British. I don't know. Maybe that's a good idea. I don't know. Do you like that? Perhaps we can do that.
love it.
And then I go back into the American side.
Okay.
Oh, it was so funny.
Oh, that is
But
so...
it-
And they should have been taping, or were they taping what was
I think
going
they were,
on?
well, no, the
in-
camera guy fell asleep.
I'm
like,
literally.
Literally.
I
No,
love
literally.
it. I love
I
it.
went inside and he's like,
Right.
kind
That's
of, come
funny.
on. But they probably got a little bit.
So
of it.
now, where did they put you up and everything?
Oh, I stayed at the Al Hara Beach Resort
Oh.
in Abu Dhabi. It was magnificent.
Wow.
I had a room overlooking the pool and the infinity pool, the ocean and the
Right,
infinity
right.
pool. I had carte blanche at the restaurants.
Oh, wow.
It was magical.
I mean, you
for
should have
2.5
told me. I mean,
months.
I
You
don't
could've
weigh
come stay
much.
with
I'm
me.
going to come with you. I mean, now, were there any restrictions as far as covering your head or stuff like that? I mean,
It was kind of restricted. I felt a
Okay.
little uncomfortable. When I was there, I went into It was kind of like a Victoria's Secret, right? So all the women are all, as you walk in, they're all dressed, with their coverings,
Right,
the eyes.
right.
And
But
then
they're
you
in
walk
Victoria's
inside,
Secret.
and everybody's trying on the little bathing suits and the little tops.
Isn't
it was
that
so
something?
funny.
Yeah, it's like so contradicting everything. You know
Right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean, you see them like that, and you with the outfit covering, and then all of a sudden you realize that at home, wow! I mean,
And-
these people are gorgeous and have one heck of a time.
Did they tell you couldn't leave the property?
No, no. I could leave.
You could
it.
go anywhere.
I could go. Yes, I could go anywhere. But I went to Dubai, and I was in a department store, and there was a young man working there, and he said to me, "When women turn 50, they rarely leave the house anymore. They stay
Really?
home." I'm thinking, "Oh, this is not the place for me."
Yeah.
Or Pink.
No way.
But they said a lot of the women, once a certain age, they just like stay home, and
They think it's over.
they think it's
know.
that's
You
like
know,
their
Well,
life.
it doesn't matter what they think.
That's
They're
how they
told
feel.
it's over.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So but I met some wonderful people. I got invited to a wedding, which I couldn't. I was leaving. I couldn't go. But
Now you also did. You were a host at a talk show called Adventures with Bev. Tell us about that, because that really sounds interesting. You help people who travel.
Was that here in Southern California?
it was. I've traveled all over the world by myself. I've been Africa and Russia. I went with my best friend Judy. But I've been to. I went to Prague by myself. Israel by myself. I went to Europe like 10 times by myself.
Good girl.
I went to Hong Kong, China. Well, there were Hong Kong, China, Japan. I did go with a girlfriend. But I did most traveling, and most of the time I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, what it means is I didn't make any plans. I booked a hotel one night, and then I would just like go from a city to city and think, where am I going to stay?
Oh,
Stay
wow.
tonight. I've had adventures. It's
Like
amazing.
what? Like give us an
just
adventure.
meeting. Okay, so you're just meeting all these people. You get invited to different venues with
Yes.
people. You just get in, going to people's homes.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Africa, we took this on a boat. The guy invited us, a little tiny boat
Oh.
in East Africa. And he said, "Do you want to come to my home?" I went to the home, and then they had a stick dance because there was somebody who's getting married, and the women are on one side, and the men are on the other side. So we got to experience things that a lot of people.
No, when
And-
it's
and
when
the
it's not a structured tour,
wasn't structured.
Right.
then you can be spontaneous, and that is
Exactly.
the best way to go.
Right, and the show,
Exactly.
what it do? It told
So I
people how to pack, how to.
And
you
how
know.
to do it inexpensively.
Okay.
Right. I wanted people to know that, you could. I've had guests on my show where we did different clothes
Right.
and show how you can wear one outfit 5 different ways,
Correct.
basically.
Change the top, change the scarf, change the
And
but-
be all in pink.
Yes, I keep changing.
All she has to
all
do is
the-
wear the pink. But, and make little books. You could do it for, basically free. Go to the tourist board, get a magazine, cut it out, put it on top, and then, keep lists and
Sure.
keep it in 2
Oh,
places.
okay.
Because one time I lost everything. Luckily, I had it in another place. So that did actually happen to me in Scotland, though, where I couldn't find my purse. Somebody had taken it.
Oh, no.
Turned out they took it by mistake, and it was found at the police station. But I didn't have a place to stay, and it was very interesting.
Now,
So, but I had a
I
great
read
time.
something in your bio here that was you were a chaperone on a dating game show. Was that what?
The TV show, The Dating Game, with Jim Lang as the host,
Right.
the
Yes, I
actual
remember.
show.
Yeah.
I was a chaperone. They sent me to Bangkok.
Wait a minute. How do you become a chaperone?
Well, because
They're
this
not
is
allowed to commingle
Right.
their guests.
this is before reality.
Okay.
Oh,
So
okay.
it didn't have people following them around with cameras. So they needed to make sure that the reason they had me is
Yes.
to make sure the airline tickets were okay, the hotel was okay.
Okay,
Because there were times when I got there, they didn't have hotel reservations. They didn't have things, and voila, I was there.
The
to,
fixer.
I was the fixer, and a funny story is there was a girl. I actually am friends with her now, 35 years later.
Wow.
She went with this guy, and the guy sat next to me, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then we changed rooms, and it was so funny. But they were great, I mean, I had interesting couples on my, but I now became kind of friendly with a lot of them.
And being a chaperone, did any couple
Couples.
get married afterwards? Or?
No, they actually sent me to Bangkok, Jamaica, Alaska. I took a 10-day cruise to Canada with them, went to Hawaii, slept on the Queen Mary, took a train run through the redwoods. I mean, it was
Oh,
magical.
how boring!
You've
Oh,
had quite an interesting,
So
never boring.
oh my
boring.
God!
No,
That's
life-
real.
this is how I feel. LIFE Live it fully every day.
Oh, I like that.
And
say,
then
say that again for
Okay,
us.
Would you steal that, please?
Yes,
You
I'm
can
gonna
steal it.
I'm like
Life.
Milton Berle.
Live
Live
it
it
fully
fully
every
every
day.
day.
And
Life.
I came up with LIFE. Love is for everyone.
Yes.
LIFE. Laughter is for everyone. I came up with that.
Oh, I like those.
Because I was trying to think, what else does it mean? And we should just embrace everybody and love everybody, no matter what, and just have fun and help
but
each
you
other.
have a great personality, though.
I care
you're
about
up.
people.
You're up.
We were just talking with the guest on this show
Right.
before you about surrounding yourself with very positive people.
Right.
Yeah.
So many people are negative and tell you can't do it, don't try it.
Right.
Everyone else try it.
Right.
You just can't deal with those people.
Right. But
They
sometimes
will bring
can,
you down.
But sometimes you can change their mind.
Sometimes,
Oh, yes.
but
That- when I
sometimes
hear
you,
that,
you have
but I
to
know
make
what you're
sure,
saying.
do you want to invest the time and energy to do it?
Right.
Or at some point you say, you know what,
Goodbye.
gig is into height, and we'll get on with the next
Why don't
person.
you explain what that
Yeah,
means to the audience?
go with
They don't
God
know.
and
Go
enjoy,
with God,
right,
I know what that
Yeah.
means.
Tell me something now. We've been to Abu Dhabi. We've done the host show with the adventures. We've also, there was another one, Family Time Correspondent. What was that one?
Okay, I was on the Home and Family show. It was back then, like 22 years ago, with Christina Ferrari,
Okay,
Oh, okay.
remember
Michael
well.
yeah.
sure.
Berger, or Chuck Woolery. We had two different hosts at different times.
Right.
Right.
So they asked me if I would go on TV and be the Family Time correspondent. I've never been on TV. I was like, what do you mean? Oh, no, you'd be perfect for it. So I remember I was like so nervous, and I learned everything. We were talking about, it was a family time. So we talked about movies
Okay.
and different actors that would come on. I would tell a
Right.
little story about them. So the first day I got there, no, the day before, Christina Ferrari said, you know what, I think I'm going to be doing it. We're not going to have you do it. I'm going to do it.
Oh.
So I remember going, okay, I was a little disappointed, and I went home, and the next day I said, well, I'm just going to go to work a little late. They don't care. I'm not going to be on TV. I get to the work, and they go, you have to go on camera. Christina didn't want to do it. So here I'm in, dressed funny.
It
and
looked easier than it was.
yeah, so I
Yes.
went in and did this thing on camera and talked about
Good for you.
places.
Now we're going to get to where
fun.
we met you. How did you become a casting agent for whatever you
Game
do?
shows,
Game
yeah.
shows or anything.
I used to work at banks for 12 years. And that was
Okay.
kind of my learning experience
Uh-huh.
because
Really?
because we had people in a bad mood, not in a good mood. I loved putting them in a good mood. I knew every customer in that bank by name.
Good for you.
I fixed customers up on dates. It was
Oh.
funny. So, but then I kept thinking, I want to do something that's fun to help people in a different way.
Right.
Anyway, so I was working at Tel Aviv University. I quit the bank, and I knew it wasn't for me. I was sitting in an office. My girlfriend called, what are you doing? Looking for a job. I went to Merrill Heater's home. He created the original Hollywood Squares.
Oh,
I loved
yes.
Merrill Heater.
Yes.
Passed away last year, but the nicest man ever. And then I worked with Art Alisi, who's still around, and they interviewed me. Merrill interviewed me, had me start working in the office, front office.
Oh, my goodness.
And Art Alisi, God bless him. I just went to his 90th birthday party. And I will tell you remind me to tell you a funny story. And so my girlfriend, I went to their house, and I started my job, and he said, I think you need to go look for contestants. I was so nervous. I didn't even know what he was talking about. I'd never talked in front of people in my life. I went to a market near my home, Pavilions, which 35 years later, I'm still going to that market to find
Oh,
contestants.
that's funny.
I mean, that's not the only place I find them.
Yeah.
Right.
The first day I started working, I had a table in front of me. My knees shook so I held on for 3 days this hard because my table, I just didn't know what to do. So 3 days later, I remember leaving after the audition going, I'm more nervous than they are. But they think they're more nervous than
Yeah.
me. So don't be nervous.
Right.
So, and I'm still good friends with some of the contestants from 35 years ago. We're still best friends.
What
Wait,
do you
wait,
look
she has
for?
to tell the
What-
story.
So
Oh.
it
She
was.
said, remind you to
Oh
tell
yeah,
the
so
story.
Art Alisi
Yeah.
was an amazing man. I went to Africa with my best friend Judy. We were in East Africa. We go from one game reserve to another. Somebody's van broke down. We asked this couple if we could help them. So we're going to take them in our van, take them to
Right.
the next village. It turned out this one man was best friends with Art Alisi in Los Angeles. Best friends with him. I think that was what a miracle.
Right.
My girlfriend says, this man, what do you do in Los Angeles? He says, I'm a periodontist.
Oh.
She goes, well, I know a periodontist. Do you know Dennis Galanter? I mean, what are the odds? He says, I'm Dennis Galander. She goes, oh my God, I'm your cousin Judy.
Oh,
Swear to
my
God.
Lord, that's
I have it all on
That's
video.
adorable.
So,
oh my Lord. So,
yeah.
so back to casting. What do you look for? The
You.
word papa. What was that?
Oh,
Yeah.
Papa. Personality, P-A, ability, presence,
Yes.
and
Attitude.
Attitude, yes. Attitude.
Really?
Yeah.
That's it. That's what it was.
Yes.
You know what? When you walk in, it's like you. Honest to God, I'm not just saying that because I'm here. I knew you'd be a great contestant because the minute you walk in, they want to know you're outgoing the second you walk in.
right.
It's hi. It's not like, hello, take your hand. Because we had a girl on the other day. I found her. She wasn't on yet, but she got selected because I had a talk with her before. I said to her, what do you like to do after work?
Yeah.
And her response was, I like to go hiking. That was it. I said, you know what? You're not going to get on if you just say that. I'm not telling her what to say, but present it
right.
in a way like, you know, my favorite thing to do, I love to go hiking. I love being outside. And one of my
fresh air, right,
reasons
yeah.
for hiking is because I love to eat. So the more I hike, I don't have to lose weight. I don't have to, I won't gain weight.
Great story.
I said, make a story.
Right, exactly.
Don't just give one word answers.
Be interesting.
Yeah, because they want to know when the host comes to talk to you, you're not going to just stand there. we
No,
all
no
get nervous.
one-word
No.
answers. Yes.
No. Yes.
No.
No.
Death.
Well,
Yeah.
but it's funny because I was a little nervous coming here.
Really?
Well, because you're on camera.
You don't know what
and
to expect.
It's that little tiny bit.
Sure.
But I tell my contestants, and this is what I told myself in the car: it's good to be nervous.
Yes, it is.
Be nervous, excited, not nervous, tense.
Correct.
Because
There's
when
a
you're nervous,
difference.
excited, you babble like I'm doing, and when you get nervous, tense, you can't think of anything.
You had one cute incident. You said someone lost their underpants.
Okay, so I'm working
I
on.
have to share that with my audience here.
I worked on Family Feud for 8 years, and one of the contestants, actually, I found them out in the field. She was just about to go to the podium to hit the button. You know, they were just
Yes.
calling that
Right.
family out. She walks out, and her underpants fell off.
Oh,
And one of the camera crew grabbed the underwear, pushes her on stage, and she yells out, she's from the South, that's the last time I'm wearing my underpants over my pantyhose. I said, Nadine, what happened? She said, well, Beverly, I had my arms up in the air, and they're out here popping. There are my bloomers hanging right around. So her son wrote me a thank you card with Mama's bloomers. I mean, he wrote a
my
picture of it.
God, I love
So I tell contestants, I have a funny. I have one other really funny story where I'm doing a show called $1 Million Chance of a
Oh
Lifetime.
yes. What was that?
And that was the first $1 Million game show
Okay.
with Jim Lang, who
Who would-
hosted.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah, so
The
it was
dating
great.
game.
Great to work with him. So I got to fix the like this. I got to decorate the green
set,
room.
right.
Yeah, more backstage so everybody
Oh, okay.
before they go on because it was kind of boring. So they let me decorate it. So there's a couch. So I'm sitting on the couch and I'm sitting, and there's a guy sitting here, and
Is this
so
like
I thought,
the casting couch? Or
yeah, right. That sounded like that because I'm like sitting and I'm watching and I'm going like this to the hand of the couch, and I'm going like this. And his wife is there. She goes, "What are you doing to my husband?" It was his
That's
leg,
Funny.
and I'm like, "Oh my God!" It was so funny. I
Oh,
cracked
my
up.
Lord.
But I have.
So now you said there was someone lost their voice or their hearing on a show.
Oh, I did.
I mean, I'm listening. I'm seeing all this stuff.
Don't forget the lyrics with Wayne Brady, who's
Right.
doing "Let's Make a Deal."
Okay.
I interviewed. I feel like I was one of the judges on The Voice because backstage I was the one making decisions. So we had a girl on, and she sang, but she was completely deaf in one ear. She was born deaf. But I thought she had a lovely voice. I loved her voice.
Right.
So I sent the tape in to the other producers, and they go, no, we're not going to use her. So I said to the other casting producer, I said, as a favor to me, you can put my name on it. I can get in trouble. I don't care. I thought she was amazing.
Wow.
Please let the other producers see it. If they don't like her, I'll take the blame. I go to work the next morning, and they were like, oh, my God, thank you so much. We loved her.
There you go.
She walked in with $200,000. They bought her a pair of diamond earrings.
Oh my!
And I think a few years later, she went and had her ear redone. She never.
What
did
was
before.
the most?
Wonderful story.
I love to help people.
Yes.
What was the most like terrifying type person that you put on, and then they just went totally crazy?
Well, I'll tell you about one right before that. We had a guy on All Star on Catch 21.
Right.
Anyway, we have contestants sitting in the room, and before they go on, I don't know how they did it with Common Knowledge, but before we did, we have the producers. They want to explain the show just to make sure you really
Right.
feel comfortable
Sure.
and you know what
Correct.
the show's like. So there's this guy reading the paper like this. So my producer said, Bev, you've got to talk to him. He's absolutely not paying attention. We don't know what's going to happen when he goes downstairs.
Loose
So
cannon.
I was really nice, and I said, excuse me, please put it down so they can
Talk to you.
Yeah, exactly. Talk to you, and they'll explain things. He says, okay. Not more than 2-3 minutes later, he's reading the paper. So I walked over to him. Now there's 20 people in the room, and really quietly I said, please, it's important for you to watch so you know how to play the game. He said, I told you I would do. What part of no? Yes, didn't you understand? So I said, could I see you for a second? I took him in the hallway, and all I said was, bye-bye.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
I
nice
let him
seeing
go.
you.
So that happened, and we didn't have really too many bad things. Somebody fainted once.
No way.
Yeah, I think it was $1 Million Chance.
Oh my.
I think they just got so overwhelmed.
How many
Oh,
people?
but I will tell you a funny
go ahead.
story about that. About the couples. Okay, $1 Million Chance of a Lifetime, first $1 Million game show.
Okay.
So I interviewed the families, the couples. It was couples.
Oh, all right.
And so this one couple, I was kind of iffy. I don't know if I'm going to use them. The husband wasn't very outgoing. The wife was pretty good, but not my favorite. But she called me up. Do you think, are we going to get on, blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, well, I'll tell you what. I'll bring you back. If your husband, you've got to get him a lot louder. He's got to be more enthusiastic. Now, I like to give people chances because you never know.
Right.
They brought him back, and they love them. So now I'm interviewing contestants in another room while they're taping, and I hear they're on. So I finish my interviewing, and I go in, and this is how the show normally is. If you win, you guys win. The confetti comes down, and we have two security guards, and they make it all fun, and they open the door.
Right.
So I come in, and it's quiet. There, you could hear a pin drop. And finally, nobody got this couple out. They finally opened the door themselves, and they said, can we come out now? Nobody thought they were going to win $1 million. My couple won $1 million.
Kidding me.
Yeah,
Oh
they don't know
my-
who's going to win and who's not going to win, but they figured. They just
don't
figured
know.
they didn't,
Sure.
they
How
weren't.
many people do you get a week? Do you have to find for these shows a week?
Well, me personally, I'm trying to get 50 people a week.
Wow.
Me
So
personally.
Pavilions is your main place.
You know what?
Pavilions,
The
everybody.
bathroom also. I have
Yeah.
had people in the bathroom. I have funny stories. Somebody's actually going to the bathroom. Stop! Don't leave. I heard you talking. Can I come out? And
Oh, that's funny.
I started a sitcom called Cast of Characters. I'm going to see where it goes. But anyway, that starts in the bathroom because that really did happen.
So what do you look for first? I mean, I know attitude and things like that, outgoing, but there got to be other traits that you look for.
Sure. All those people who are replicas of Pink Lady, please call
exactly right.
Beverly Pomerantz
That's right.
and say, I can do her.
I should just put when I send out stuff to the
Right.
contestants, you should be on that.
Yes.
That would be funny. But you know what it is? And Daisy J, honest to God,
I'm going to take it with me with that pink bow.
everybody stops her because of that. I mean, if you saw the people I met in Beverly Hills the other day, you would fall over. But I don't go up to people and start saying, do you want to be on a game? I don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I start talking to them first. Oh, it's a great jacket. Oh, my God, what do you do? And,
They get the
and then
feeling,
if you start talking, then I go, oh, you know what? I'm, casting a game show. You'd probably be great on it. Now, if you said, that's really not me, I'm fine. I don't need that many
Correct.
contestants.
Right.
I want to get people that really want to be on the show.
Right.
And that I don't want to waste your time. And I did get the guy, this guy from the worst contestant, from Pavilions, the market. He was
Yeah.
the meat guy. Oh my God, he was horrible. It's because I was interviewing somebody, talking to somebody else, and he said, "Oh, can I do it too?" What could I say? No.
Yeah.
So he was very quiet. So I can't bring that in again.
No.
So, but just just chatting.
I think, well, for our audience to know, I think if you meet someone like Beverly Pomerantz, wherever she is, and if you know that you've heard her and seen her on our show, go up and say hello and say, Pink Lady said, I'm ready to go. And with common knowledge, it was fun. As I said, I was nervous, but as I said, we talked about it. You have to be a little nervous.
right.
And you have to be, because that's, I think, part of your excitement and things like that. I had two great guys. I had Dove and we had Greg Lee and our veterans. But I think the audience also, when I stepped on the stage with the guys, we knew that the audience was with us.
Right.
We just knew
Immediately.
that.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Because if the audience behind you, and I tell contestants, if you're having fun, the audience is having
That's
fun,
right.
That's right.
and they want you to win.
Yes, they do.
Otherwise, they're like, okay,
Yeah, next. You
Yeah,
know.
that's why you said they when we think. That's why. But I think you have the energy all your life.
I
mean,
did. I
because
did.
you don't just do this.
Oh, no.
I met you
No.
at a veterans
Right.
a music show,
Right.
right in Westwood.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
And that's-
I'm
Actually,
like this.
just to clarify, we were at a 1,300 seat theater called the Wadsworth Theater
Right.
on
That's
the
right.
West LA campus, and we had special. We never advertised guests. We have performers,
Right.
Right.
but then we have special guests. And on Saturday we had
We had
Tommy
Tommy
Lasorda.
Lasorda.
On
And then-
Sunday we had Ann Margaret and Tony
Just
Orlando.
recently?
No.
No, this
That was that
the,
then.
the one that
Right, when
you
I was
saw.
there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know, and then I saw you, and I went, "Oh my gosh, I got to do something with her."
We have had a good time.
I have to tell
Yeah.
everyone,
Yeah.
it is so much fun, as you know, on Pink Lady Presents. We have all people of all different ages, all different ethnic backgrounds, people from everywhere, all walks of life. And I think that that's really what makes this program what it is. I know that I have a great time. I know that Dove has a great time, and I know our guests have a good time. And I want to tell everyone, if you know people that want to be on our show, please send the information to pinkladypresents.com or my website, or my email, pinklady7@earthlink.net.
and
And
Don't
if
forget.
you want to be cast on a game show,
there you go,
send an email to Pink,
right?
pinklady7@earthlink.net, and say, please put me in touch with Beverly Pomerantz because
will do
I
that.
would be phenomenal on that show, whatever the show may be.
Right.
And we'll
I'd be
make sure
happy.
you get
And we'll
it.
do
And
it.
I would love it, and I would love to call them. I would
Sure.
be
There
very
you
happy
go.
to bring you in for
You
Let's
have a
Make a
sh- you
Deal
have
or
a-
any other show that
Right.
we're working on.
And you
at the
have to
time.
be really, really good because our reputation is on,
That's
the
right.
It's on the line.
here. We don't want Beverly to say, who was that?
Yeah.
But really, I know everybody watching knows someone.
Right.
You know, it could be your laundry guy. It could be the you're talking about supermarkets. You know,
Right.
you never know.
Everyone,
Yeah.
again, Beverly Pomerantz, thank you for coming in.
Oh, thank
God
you.
bless you. You are just one in a million. We had a great time. I don't know where the time goes by.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. We will see you next time. God bless.
Have my fling. I'm gonna live until I die. The blues I lay low, I'll make 'em stay low. They'll never trail over my head.